Welcome to the Short-Term Rental Playmaker Podcast, where we break down what it really takes to win in short-term rentals in today's market. From insider tips and emerging trends to real conversations with top playmakers in the space, this show gives you the tools, strategies, and mindset to build and scale a successful short-term rental business. Now, here's your host, Joe Roney.
Today's episode is brought to you by Savvy STR Agents, the short-term rental real estate experts helping investors find profitable vacation rental properties nationwide. If you're serious about scaling your STR portfolio, Savvy STR Agents should be your first call.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Short-Term Rental Playmaker Podcast. I have the man, the myth, the legend, the team leader of Savvy STR Agents, Mr. Tyler Coon. It's an honor to have you.
Joe, I'm so excited to be here, man.
It's, we've been trying to get this scheduled for a while. Our schedules didn't combine, and then we decided to go skiing for a while, and now we finally made it happen. So super excited to chat about what's happening at Savvy and what you've done over the past year. Like, you have completely shaken up the entire industry in the past 2 years, and everybody sees it. So, want to kind of unfold that a little bit.
Yeah, cool. I'm excited. I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Awesome. So, for those of you who don't know, Tyler Coon is our Savvy agent in the Asheville market. And what did we do? 65 million in Asheville last year?
65 million in Asheville last year, yeah.
So some of the interesting things is what you've done to these properties, right? Like, you've taken what they did in Disney 10 years ago, and we're seeing what you're doing, you and Ashita are doing in Asheville. So, what kind of made you think that you could take a market like Asheville and do that type of property and make those kind of returns? What kind of gave you that vision?
I'll be honest here, and I always like to give credit where it's due, right? I am not a genius. I am not a guru. I'll be honest, the first big project that Ashita and I did together, I walked through it and she said, I spent $300,000 here. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, first off, in my pro forma was maybe $150,000. Like, don't like do this again. Like, that's way too much money. We've never done anything like that in Asheville before. And that property went on to become the first property in all of Asheville. This was early 2023 to do over $300,000 a year in revenue. And that turned into the #1 short-term rental in all of Western North Carolina. So Ashita tells this story a lot nowadays that I had to eat my words and I was totally wrong. But that's how we got there. And, thankfully, those clients were people that Ashita had already worked with in the past in another market. They knew what they were doing and I didn't. So honestly, I'm kind of playing follow the leader here. Now, I think what I did do the best is I played follow the leader very quickly. And I said, okay, this thing is working. Now let's go do this 100 more times.
Yeah, and you've created a whole new market that people didn't even know really existed. I mean, people have known about Asheville, but it is a staple community in the STR game now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. We were kind of nothing before. And the first big property that I bought in 2022, this was right before I met Ashita, actually. So we were already kind of moving into like these larger properties and seeing that work really well. It was one of six bedrooms. And now there's over 150 in all of Western North Carolina. And what's crazy about that more than anything else, I think, is that the demand is still there. And this is what I was telling people back in 2022, which is, we are serving unmet demand. And this is what you will never see when you run the numbers. When you go in AirDNA and you run the comps, you will never see the unmet demand, right? Like, that's the difference. You might see, and there's an easy way to look at this, right? If the occupancy rates of a certain asset class, whether that's 1 bedroom, 6 bedrooms, closer to the beach, further from the beach, more residential houses, more cabins, whatever it is, if the occupancy rates for a certain asset class are pretty high, higher than you would expect them to be, or maybe higher than normal, or maybe higher than they are comparatively to other markets, and the number of those assets is fairly low or maybe lower than you would expect, there's probably a hole in the market there, and there's probably unmet demand. And that's what I saw. And people ask me all the time, You and Ashita have done 80 of these projects in Asheville. Like, don't you think you're saturating the market? Because it's what we've been working on for 3 years. We advertise that we're doing it a lot. And here's the bare bones facts. I did this math for a client of mine because she asked me something and she bought something here and she did this. She followed my direction. And right when she launched, she's like, do you worry like that you're doing too much? And I think about it a lot. I think about it for all my clients all the time. That's the first thing. The second thing is I did the math. And if we've done 80 of these projects and they sleep an average of 16 guests, and we have an average of maybe 80 stays a year, then we're hosting, I think it was somewhere in the realm of like 76,000 tourists per year. And we get 13 million tourists here a year. So we're not scratching the surface, I don't think. And on top of that, I am a firm believer that we created a piece of the market that didn't exist before. We have probably brought 76,000 new people to this market that wouldn't have come here before if our properties didn't exist.
Yeah, and I love that, and I see that across not just your market, but my market, other markets. Right, there is untapped potential. Right now, everyone says if you're not in AI, you're going to be left behind. Well, in the short-term rental game, if you're not finding these opportunities, you're going to be left behind, and I think that's what we're seeing in the space.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny because I hear people say that the industry's maturing, and especially we hear this from like legacy property managers, like we're in a consolidation phase. I am still seeing gold rush. I don't know about everyone else. And yes, it's not as easy as it was before. But honestly, if you entered this industry and you thought it was going to be easy forever, you're crazy. And you're asking for something that you probably don't particularly want. If you want the industry to be easy forever, it is going to get too saturated, and there's no barrier to entry that's going to prevent the next person from coming in and doing the same thing. So if the barrier to entry is getting higher and it's getting harder, I think that's a good thing for the industry. But I still think we're in our infancy. I think there's so much cool stuff we can do, so many different types of designs of properties and so many different amenities that we can do. We're building our newest short-term rental right now here in Asheville. Ashita and I, that we bought maybe a year ago, and we launched it for a couple months first. And we're designing an indoor laser tag arena, and it'll be the first indoor laser tag arena that I've seen in any short-term rental in America. I've not seen it done before, not to say it hasn't been done, but I've not seen it done before. And so for the first ones to do it, 100 other people are going to go copy us this year, and it's not even going to matter. It's all 100 of those are still going to do well. So I think we're really in our infancy. I think there's so much runway, and that's what we do at Savvy that's different, is we are not afraid of the potential of this industry. We're not afraid to invest. We're investing ourselves. And honestly, we're not afraid to ask our clients to invest either. And I think that's what kind of sets us apart. And I've been told that specifically by industry heavyweights, that y'all are getting well known for this, and nobody else is kind of taking the reins of these super properties, of these great designs and great amenities, and pushing forward more than Savvy. And I couldn't be more proud to be associated with everybody here.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's what obviously attracted me to come to Savvy. Obviously, what my wife and I have done in the properties that we own or co-host, and I get the same questions. They ask me all the time, if you guys are all doing this, like how much is too much? Well, there's 20,000 vacation rentals in our market, and we get $10+ million visitors a year as well. And there's like a really small people that are actually putting in any money. And I tell people all the time, the majority of the properties are on the market right now because of that 2021 gold rush of saturation, right? So it was saturated with a lot of average, and that's why you have to step up. So want to kind of shift gears into, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think there's a bifurcation of the industry that's happening. The bifurcation used to be at the 50-50 level, right? Like the top 50% were professional hosts, and the bottom 50% were like vacation homes that they rented it just to make maybe some of the mortgage back and some of the expenses and show up to a clean house in the week of summer that they used it. And now I think what it is like the bottom 90% and then the top 10%, but the top 10% are the people that are really investing heavy into amenities and design, the right locations, the right types of properties, and they really have their process dialed in. I think that's really the future of the industry, but certainly I think the barrier of entry is increasing. I think that's a good thing.
I agree. And it's funny when I got into the space, because I didn't buy my first until 2022, and everybody in 22 and 23 said, you don't want to go into these markets, like people said, don't buy in the Florida Panhandle, don't buy in Disney, don't buy in the Smokies, don't buy here, because you got to find these small niche markets. And the problem is that some of these influencers sent these people into these small niche markets and they never came to fruition. And now these people are sitting on properties that didn't hit it because they didn't go in there and do anything to be able to, they didn't have those traffic drivers. You have traffic drivers in Asheville, North Carolina. There's traffic drivers. So I still think it doesn't matter where you invest in the United States. If you're investing in a true vacation rental market, you can be at the top to 10% no matter where you are.
Yeah. And honestly, I'll fight for middle America any day, anytime. The agents on our team know that, because I am a firm believer that you can make short-term rentals work anywhere.
Yes.
You look at, Indianapolis and St. Louis, Missouri, and there are no good short-term rentals. I remember the first time I looked at Indianapolis with Jason, I think there was one that I would consider like maybe a super property. And there was one in the entire city. You have the Indy 500 there. You have all sorts of conferences. You have all sorts of people going. So I still am a big believer that you can do it anywhere.
Yes.
But I think it is important that you do it the right way. Like, it's definitely not just buy it and launch it and hope for the best. Like, it is a lot of work. And if you go into this expecting that it's not going to be a lot of work, I think you're going to go into it and be pretty disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. And I do love the urban markets, and there are some really great rural markets as well. So St. Louis, we still get, it may not be a tourism place, but we still get 5 million tourists a year. Like, it's still a tourism community. So I want to kind of shift gears. Obviously, you are, Mr. Savvy, and created this entire environment for all of us to be successful. What made you have that vision to say, okay, I'm selling $40-50 million a year in this Asheville? We see some of our competitors that have teams, nationwide teams or in different markets. Like, what made you say, I think I can do this and we can do it better?
Again, I think that there are places where I've been really lucky in my career, and I look at that, I'm a realist. I am really logical as a human, really analytical. And so I think there were places where I was lucky, but I was also the right person at the right time. So 2021 was like the big boom of short-term rentals, 2020, 2021. And so I got into it definitely at the right time. So for me, there was a lot of luck there. But also being in the right place. I think that was luck as well. I didn't choose Asheville to stake my flag. My family was here and I decided to move here because of that, and got into real estate not to get into short-term rentals, and kind of ended up in it. So I feel really lucky in that way. But I did see some fragmentation in the short-term rental industry after I started working in it. And what I really saw was a lack of quality and a lack of follow through. So at Savvy, for me, one of my big things, and this didn't come at first, right? I jumped on the band, and I'm not afraid to say, I'm never afraid to tell what my deficiencies are or where I'm wrong, and then what I try to do to fix it, because that is what I do. I always try to, but it comes to a point where, in 2021, 2022 time, I was selling so many short-term rentals in Asheville, and my clients started calling me back and saying, hey, you ball after we closed, you were there for us. And ultimately, we had to spend all of our own resources on our own, and that wasn't fair to us. And so I put my thinking cap on at that point, I think. And ultimately, I really tried to out a program here in Western North Carolina, especially, and then later on working through all of Savvy, to make sure that we had the right resources after closing. So I saw a lot of fragmentation when it came to this industry in terms of what sort of resources were available to people and what sort of help they could get. Because what I noticed is people were not buying from Asheville in Asheville. They're buying from California and from Texas in Asheville. They didn't know the cleaners. They didn't know the handyman. They didn't know any contractors, electricians, plumbers, anything like that. And it was my responsibility to help them if I was going to be the one to advertise for them to come to this market. So I took that responsibility on my shoulders, and now that's something that we carry all throughout Savvy. And I couldn't I know I keep saying this, but I couldn't be more proud of the job that we've done, helping people invest in areas that they were nervous to invest in, because we were getting that question a lot. So I think the short answer is there. I saw a lot of fragmentation. I knew that there were problems that I was maybe uniquely positioned to solve, and started attacking them, and we solved them one at a time.
Yeah, going back to what we were just discussing, what you built at Savvy, I agree. I mean, when I bought my first short-term rental, my agent at the time, was in the Emerald Coast. I bought it in Panama City Beach, and it was the same thing. She's like, "Yep, this is a great rental." She didn't talk to me about underwriting. She didn't talk to me about revenue numbers. She didn't talk to me about anything. It was just, "Yep, I'm going to sell you this property." And then, we obviously were doing our research, so we had done our due diligence at that point. But for those people that didn't, the majority of people that get into this space, they don't know what they don't know. And I think being teachers is probably the most important thing that we do as realtors in this space, is to truly teach them everything that we can, from expectations up front to making sure we find them the right resources on the ground.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things that I've seen is that our agents experiment on their clients' behalf. Right. And what that means is that we're out there taking the same risks that our clients are, that we're asking our clients to. We're doing the same exact thing. And so, how is there anyone better positioned to speak from that sort of experience? I don't think so. And it's just, I think, amazing the sort of feedback that we've gotten. You know, I think ultimately what it comes down to for me is being there for our clients, and being prepared to help them when they come. Like, I take it really seriously. Our clients put their life savings. I think a lot of times people can look at us and they think we're investment real estate agents and we work with like BlackRock, right?
Yeah.
And they're
Yes.
like, you're selling, all these funds to these investment managers and that. And certainly nowadays the funds have come, the institutional buyers are table. By and large, most of our business is to, mom and pop buyers. They're buying their
Yep.
first, maybe their second. And if we get the privilege to help them, maybe their third short-term rental, but they're dumping their life savings.
Yes.
Right? They're putting every dollar that they have. They're not wealthy by nature. They didn't start with $1 bajillion. They're coming and they're saying, we saved for 10 years and we have enough for a down payment and the great amenities and all that sort of stuff you're recommending. And we're going to now risk all of that to take this journey with you. And it means the world to me. It means the world to everyone at Savvy. And I just want to say that, you've said it a couple times, and people say this all the time about what I've built at Savvy, and I truly don't think of it that way. I always say this, this on our team meetings, everything. Every time somebody says like, congratulations on what you've built, like, it is not me. I definitely pitched, and I had a dream, and then I pitched the dream, and then some people bought in, which feels really, really good. But ultimately it was their choice of partnering together and knowing that as a collective, we could help our clients better by all working together. We share our knowledge. We come together multiple times a year. We go to conferences, we learn, and we share that information amongst each other. We work on appraisals, and how can we work on inspections, and how can we negotiate better for our clients? Like, that choice of coming together, that was the real power here. It was nothing that I did or what our leadership staff did. It was what you did when you said, yes, I'm coming on board. I want to join that vision and that dream. That was the magic more than anything that I did, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, I really think, obviously all of us as agents own, manage, co-host, whatever it is, we're in our market in this business every single day. We're not just, we didn't buy a short-term rental 15 years ago and say, yep, I own a short-term rental in the market. And, I bought it pre-COVID for $100,000 and I'm making a lot of money. And now I'm going to teach you to do the same. We're actively buying, we're actively investing, and we're trying to find the same deals for ourselves as we are for our clients. So I think that goes a long way. And, what you said before about, the majority of our clients being new. I mean, I may take on anywhere from 3 to 10 new client calls a week, and 75-80% of them are always first time. And then the second thing I want to say is that one other thing that we do at Savvy is we're honest. Some of these client calls turn into, maybe this isn't the best investment. And I think there's a lot of realtors out there that'll take every single sale, but we truly want our clients to succeed. And if they're not in the right position, Maybe it's 6 months down the road, maybe it's a year, maybe they got to save a little bit more money, but we're not going to sell someone something just to get a sale.
Yeah, it's not in our blood. And honestly, here's the thing that I'm able to tell people quite truthfully is I'm not a saint, but honestly, we don't need to sell another deal. Like at Savvy, we have $150 million under contract right now. We're going to do $1 billion in sales this year in a really difficult real estate market. We don't need to sell another deal so badly that we're willing to put somebody in a bad short-term rental. Now, mistakes happen, right? And things happen. You do 1,500 sales and, things are going to happen. And what I know is it's how we react when those things happen. I'll give you a good example. Like for the very first time in my career, after 300 short-term rental sales in Asheville, I sold a property that from the very beginning could not have been a short-term rental. It should have been clear as day to me. And we still have that property listed. And what I told my clients day one, when I heard about the news and I did the research and I said, we screwed up. I said, I'm going to pay every cent, every dollar that it's going to take out of pocket, whatever. You are not going to come out of pocket a dollar here. And that means paying back their mortgage for the time on the market. Any money that they lose in between selling and buying the property is on me. I'm paying their buyer agent commission to sell their house. I'm listing their house at 0% commission. I'm going to pay to move their furniture to the next property, right? And they're still going to buy that next short-term rental with me. And it means so much. And I would have done it whether they did or not. I would have done it because it was the right thing to do. But ultimately, it is my responsibility, and I take it as my responsibility to do a really good job for my clients. And that's what I love so much about everyone that we work with is we all feel that it's necessary to take on that responsibility of our client's success. And it's just so cool to work around 50 other people that feel the same way. And we never ask what's in it for us. We always ask what's in it for them. And that creates abundance. When you're out there to do good value for other people, it creates abundance. So when people ask oh, you're just a saint, you're just out there doing this. No, it creates abundance in my life too. And so it makes the choice really easy. That's why I'm never going to try to sell you a property that won't perform well because one, I don't need to. Right. And number two, that when I say no to you, that's what's going to lead to that trust. Then I sell more real estate. It's very simple to understand, but you would think that more people would feel that way, but they just don't think about it that way.
Yeah. I mean, and the honest truth is 70% of realtors didn't sell a single house last year. And if you're using one of those realtors, they are desperate for a sale and they're going to sell you anything that they can to get that sale. And that's why you want to find, experienced and intelligent and honest realtors. I think we get a bad name because of that. I'm not saying that 70% in general, but there's so many that are just going to do anything they can for a sale, and they're counting their commission before they even write the offer. And I don't see anybody on our team doing that. Yeah,
I've never seen it, and I know I've said how many times I'm so proud to work with everyone we work with, but I truly mean it. It's the blessing of my life. I think so far it's such a gift to work with you and to work with all of our agents. And I don't say this just in promotion. I really actually feel that way, whether you work with us or not. And that's another thing. We will help people whether they work with us or not. We have no agenda of you should work with us. The way that we look at all of this is if we provide enough value, people will just by the very nature of us providing that value work with us. And that means it comes with no strings attached.
Yep, I agree. There's, many people that just call for advice or they just, hop on calls. I just obviously had a call with one of our higher profile clients of the day because I got on his listing and saw it wasn't getting as many bookings. I'm like, hey, time out. We're going into peak season and you should have some more bookings. Let's talk about what you're doing here. And I think it's important that, you said in the beginning, you didn't reconnect with those people that you sold in the very beginning. So I took that to heart when I joined Savvy, and I have my spreadsheet of every single sale that I've done. And I do quarterly, touch bases with every single client that has bought with me to say, hey, how are things going? If it's sometimes just a quick text, how's your quarter looking? How's your March looking? And sometimes they don't respond. Sometimes we have conversations, but I think it's so important that we're always there for them.
Yeah, I agree. And that's really the goal, and all the resources that we put in place on the marketing and on our back end support and our operations is so that our agents have the time to do that, because we really believe in this industry. We want to take it to the next level. My call right before this podcast was with Airbnb directly, with their advocacy team, to start a North Carolina advocacy group to advocate for short-term rental owners' rights and advocate on behalf of hosts. And I'm not going to get paid to do that. It's going to take a lot of my time and effort. I got to get my legal team involved, and Airbnb doesn't. They're not like setting that up for us. Like, they're asking us to set that up because they want to have these grassroots campaigns, which to me makes a lot of sense. And they're there for support, but they're not going to fund all this. And I couldn't have been more excited to just jump in and say, like, yes, let's do this together. I would love to have some of your resources and some of your knowledge, and I'm going to take this on. And that's going to cost me money and time. But the main thing that I was thinking about in the moment was like, I can't wait to tell my clients that I'm doing this, because I know that they're going to be excited to also pitch in, and they're going to see value, and they're going to see that I fulfill my word of showing up for them in any and every way possible. And that's just the coolest feeling for me. So I really love this industry, and I hope that anybody that sees, I think a lot of what we talked about could be looked at as like savvy self-promotion and fine. But I think what I want people to take away from this is passion for the industry. Like, the people that I've seen be the most successful in short-term rentals, if you truly want to hack and if you truly want a secret, have confidence and have passion in what we're doing, and just not let no be the answer, right? Like, to figure out the next step and the next solution, and to be confident in what you're doing, because what it does is it takes your choices and it frames them in a way of, what will it take for me to make this successful, and not just like, how is this going to be successful for me? Because the most successful people I've seen are the ones that take the reins and they decide that this property is going to be successful no matter what I do. This place is going to be successful, and so it is, right? And they manifest it, and maybe that seems a little bit woo-woo. I've been in Asheville for 7 years, so I am getting a little bit woo-woo, but I think it truly is the case.
Yeah, speaking of you being in Asheville for so long and only investing there, so what's the next steps, and what market are you going to invest in next outside of your own market?
Oh goodness, I know. So Ashita and I, we partner on all of our deals nowadays. We're very good friends. We're very, very close. We go on vacation together, our families, and of course now she designs all of my properties, and we get the best. So that's nice. But our whole plan for this year was like, let's invest somewhere else. And then we bought 3 more so far in Asheville this year. So we just closed on one last Friday. We put one under contract last week, and we bought a $2 million property with a partner a month ago. And so we are designing a new 10,000 square foot property that's going to become the #1 property in all of Asheville. We bought a property for about $700,000 that we should be able to refi for something like $1.7 million. And the newest property we have under contract has the coolest indoor pool I have ever seen in Western North Carolina. We have very, very few indoor pools here. It's got cool skylights. The ceiling's 30 feet tall. And I couldn't be more excited about that. So I don't know if we have any money left at this point. In fact, we're probably going to be scrambling to go like, how are we going to design between the 3 of these projects? It's probably 17,000 square feet between the 3, and we're still finishing our last project that we bought last year that I mentioned. We're doing the laser tag in, and we're building 6 caves and 6 tree houses at the Mirror Hotel. So I don't know that we're going to do much else this year, but I certainly have looked at the 30A Panama City Beach area many times, so that I can escape to the beach myself. So maybe that's on the radar, maybe not. Maybe I win the lottery. It's going
to have to just be a December cost seg at the beach. That's what I'm aiming for you for. So
I know I'm going to end up closing on something until December 30th, like last time.
Yep. and that'll be okay. We'll get it live, and you'll have a great 2027 property. So, obviously, been an honor to have you on to kind of talk about what's happening at Savvy, what you're doing in the investing world. You have been absolutely crushing it for multiple years.
Thank you.
The last thing I want to discuss is Host Connect. You just had your first big Host Connect meetup in Asheville. Obviously, there's going to be potentially some more of that type of stuff coming on. But how did that go, and what does that look like?
Yeah, Host Connect in North Carolina was amazing. And what we did was we called it Host Connect Carolinas, with the kind of intention that if things went well and if people wanted it, that we would maybe do some in some other markets. So TBD on that. But I am a big fan of the more regional content. And that's what we really wanted to do with Host Connect, was create a regional conference where all of the content was regional as well. Because you all seeing me at all of the big conferences. I love them. I loved Level Up Your Listing in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago. And I got kind of the same like national content, national stuff that I always get when I go to those things. And what was great about Host Connect was, one, giving a stage to individual hosts that I think are really cool, like Elle Anderson, who's a savvy VIP client. She's bought and sold with so many of our agents at this point, all over the country. She's one of my favorite clients. It was my honor and pleasure to give her a seat to go and speak and tell her story, and to sit and spend more time with her was amazing. She has bought and sold dozens of companies, raised and deployed millions and millions of dollars in capital, buys and sells hospitality assets all the time. I mean, I have so much to learn from someone like that. And I'm the one that put the conference on. And so that's what I think was great about Host Connect, was understanding that there's something we can learn from anyone and to give those people a seat. So I'm really excited to see what we do in some other markets. I don't know. Do you think maybe something's coming in Florida? Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yep. I think we're gonna have something on the horizon coming in the Florida Panhandle, hopefully right after the first of the year. So we'll still got some more things to come to finalize on that, but definitely in the works.
Good.
So
I can't wait.
Yes. So awesome. Any parting words to any listeners out there that are either getting into the short-term rental space now or experienced hosts that are looking to expand?
I think here's the thing. There are so many pundits online that are going to go out there and for whatever reason say that investing in short-term rentals is a bad thing. Do your own due diligence. I just bought 3 short-term rentals just this year. I am not magical. I don't save the best deals for myself. All 3 of those deals were on the MLS. Literally, all 3 were on the MLS. I didn't source them off market for myself. And in fact, all 3 of those deals I pitched to other clients before I bought them, right?
Yep.
And so we're not hoarding the best deals for ourselves. We're not taking them before anybody else can get them. We're buying right there alongside of you. So when I say this advice, it is not just from the source of like me wanting to sell more business because this is my career. There are so many people online and they've had a bad experience, but do not reduce yourself to the lowest common denominator. Right? Don't reduce yourself to the lowest common denominator. And just because somebody online says that they had a bad experience, write this off. This is a wealth creation machine. We made millions of dollars in equity last year buying properties. And I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a trust fund baby. I had nothing. When my husband and I were finished traveling the world and we came back to the US, I had $1,000 left in my bank account, right? And started over in 2019 in Asheville and drove Uber just so that I could pay for myself to get my real estate license a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
I had nothing. It was our first house. We did an Airbnb house hack in that allowed us to pay for that mortgage and then sell that property and make my very own first $100,000 that I had sitting in my bank account. First time I had 6 figures. The second reason that you're going to see people say stuff online is because they, for whatever reason, think that they're going to somehow talk themselves into success because they're out there saying negative things about short-term rentals. People will say like, oh no, Asheville's a terrible place to invest in. Well, that may be their experience, but it's not everyone's experience. It's certainly not my experience. I'm willing to open up my books. I'm willing to show you what I'm buying, what I'm putting into these properties, when we're doing it, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it. And you do your own due diligence at that point. You make the decision and don't let these online Keyboard warriors, control your fate. Make the decision for yourself. Do the research, look at both sides of things. And I'm not saying nobody's ever had a terrible time in short-term rentals, but I would look at the reason why. And then I would maybe try to find someone that's doing it successfully still right now and see what they're doing and reach out to them and ask them, because every person I know that's successful in short-term rentals is not afraid to share how and why they're doing it.
I agree. 3 years later, I'm still waiting for that Airbnb bust that everyone was talking about.
That's right.
Haven't
That's
seen
exactly.
it yet, but we're all still waiting around, waiting for it to happen. So
Yeah.
it's just like the saying that, we're all waiting for the real estate crash. Well, we've been talking about a real estate crash for over a decade now. So, it's not happening, and there's still a high demand. And the best time to buy real estate is yesterday. And if it's not yesterday, then it's right now. So don't wait. So. Well, Tyler, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your experiences and being vulnerable and talking about, what we have going on at Savvy. It is an honor of mine to be able to be working alongside you on this team. It's been one of the best decisions and best experiences of my life, and we are only just beginning.
I know it literally is the beginning. So thank you for having me on. Appreciate it. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yep. Thank you guys for joining me on another episode of the Short-Term Rental Playmaker podcast. We'll talk to you next week.